Hello, Anavultus here, and I am here to, I suppose, relay the second thoughts on the movie X-Men Apocalypse, which I watched as of the time of the making of this video yesterday, from my perspective. And there are a couple things more that I have to say that have, I suppose, germinated in my mind in the hours that occurred between me watching the movie and right now. And before I start, I want to say something. The X-Men universe is obviously not the same as the real life universe, so when I'm saying these things, I don't mean to say that it's a massive criticism of a negative criticism, that is. It is simply an observation on how things are different, in the sense that some things that could have happened in the X-Men universe could not have happened in our universe, not only because of physics, but also because of the political history of the real world. So specifically, the first thing I wanted to talk about was the scene, spoiler alert, by the way, the scene where they're in East Berlin, and there's a sort of club where mutants are forced to fight each other. For me, when I watched that scene, it seems a bit out of place. It just seemed a bit out of place for East Germany. So I was thinking, well, can it be justified in the real life East Germany, 1980s East Germany? And I've come to the conclusion that no, this would probably not happen in East Germany, and I've got a very specific reason why, and that is the Stasi, or Staatssicherheit, or which means state security. It was the state police of well, I've got a Wikipedia article open. If you don't like Wikipedia, then you can go on Wikipedia, look at the sources they cite. For the most part, I agree with a lot of things Wikipedia say. Sometimes I find some things disagreeable, but so it's Wikipedia, so take everything with a grain of salt. Anyway, it says the Ministry of State Security, in German Ministerium für Staatssicherheit, MFS, commonly known as Stasi, which is an abbreviation for the German Staatssicherheit, literally state security, also known as the State Security Service, in German Staatssicherheitsdienst, SSD, as it is abbreviated in German. Was the official state security service of the German Democratic Republic, colloquially known as East Germany. It has been described as one of the most effective and repressive intelligence secret police agencies to have ever existed. The Stasi was headquartered in East Berlin, with an extensive complex in Berlin, Lichtenberg, and several smaller facilities throughout the city. In other words, East Germany was a totalitarian police state, and this Stasi was the police force that oversaw all these things. As the article says, it is described as one of the most effective and repressive intelligence and secret police agencies to have ever existed. And their headquarters is in East Berlin, where the fight is taking place. So it is the place where they are most focused. And I'm pretty sure that East Germany would not condone such things as illegal gladiatorial underground combat. For a bit further information just on just how unlikely it is that this would have passed under their noses. Let me see, I found this other bit of information. Personnel and recruitment. Between 1950 and 1989, the Stasi employed a total of 274,000 people in an effort to root out the class enemy. Communist terms. It's a socialist regime. They don't like various anti-socialist groups, so they try to root those out. They also don't like criminals either, so they try to root those out as well. But it says, by 1995, some 174,000 inoffizielle Mitarbeiter, which means unofficial collaborators, Stasi informants have been identified. So that's a lot of people, which is almost 2.5% of East Germany's population between the ages of 18 and 60. To put that into perspective, 2.5% between the ages of 18 and 60, that's 1 in 40 people from those ages. But it says 10,000 were under 18 years of age, so they did employ children as well. For example, it is known that if you were saying something against the state in East Germany, you don't say it to your children, because you never know if the people at school have indoctrinated your children to then tell them what you have said about the state. So you can't even trust your own children, which is a terrible thing. You can't trust your neighbors, you can't trust your children, you can't trust anyone. That's how bad the surveillance was. It's much worse than NSA, but of course we can get there if we try hard enough. The NSA could potentially become that. From the volume of material destroyed in the final days of the regime, the office of the Federal Commissioner for the Stasi records believes that there could have been as many as 500,000 informers. To put that into perspective, 174,000 was described as 2.5% of people from 18 to 60. 500,000 would be more along the lines of 5 or 6%. I'm not 100% accurate on that, but that's more than 1 in 20. So there's literally a spy on every block, and you don't know who it is. And the thing is, in this society, people would help each other. If you needed something built, people would help you. But if you needed to confide in someone, your distrust or misgivings about the regime, you can't trust anyone. A former Stasi colonel who served in the Counterintelligence Directorate estimated that the figure could be as high as 2 million if occasional informants were included. And by occasional informants, these are people that are not actually part of the Stasi, but are in fact just random people. So from 500,000 to 2 million, that's 4 times that. So 1 in 20 would be, oh my goodness, that's 420, which is 1 in 5. So it could be that 1 in 5 people were loyal to the state to the point that they would turn you in if you said something wrong. Okay, just wanted to say that because that's why, for me, it is unlikely that something like that could have been going on. So another thing on historical background. Speaking of the pyramid on the opening scene, let me quickly switch over to bent pyramid. It's not the pyramid that was shown in the movie, but there is such a thing as the bent pyramid. bent pyramid. Let's see. Sneferu is an ancient Egyptian pharaoh from the 4th dynasty. So this was still in the Old Kingdom of Egypt, the time when they were building pyramids. It says he built at least 3 pyramids that survive to this day and introduced major innovations in the design and construction of pyramids in ancient Egypt. So what is important about these pyramids is the Meidum pyramid, the bent pyramid, and the red pyramid, is that the design for the pyramids had not been perfected, which means that the early pyramids that were being built could not entirely... There was problems with how the weight was distributed. And this is in a structure that is basically a monolith. Well, no, it's not a monolith because it's not composed of one stone, but it's a megalith. It is composed almost entirely of stone, which is set close together, so it's solid stone. And they were having problems with its structural integrity. So then if you look at the pyramid that we saw in the movie, the structural integrity of that becomes very questionable, to the point that I don't think it would have been possible to build something with that quality of structural integrity as the one we saw in the movie. And on another note, the people who built the pyramid, I have mentioned this in the comments to the First Thoughts, they must be in some sort of conspiracy against Apocalypse, because the design of the pyramid is not structurally sound, in the sense that it seems less structurally plausible than the real pyramids, the bent pyramid, which had structural problems. And for this reason, I think that whoever designed this pyramid had the intention of destroying it. So if I were Apocalypse, I would have fired that architect, because let's be honest, if you look at that thing and you see, oh, you can just throw large blocks of stone down there and they'll destroy the entire building. I mean, what was this person smoking? I mean, I know they found cocaine on mummies and stuff, but yeah, that's it. They were on crack. The people were either in a conspiracy against Apocalypse or they were smoking crack. That's my theory. Or perhaps both. They were both smoking crack and in a conspiracy against Apocalypse. I mean, let's be honest. Building a building that is so structurally poor is a very dangerous thing. And if you're someone who builds pyramids, I don't think you'd want to needlessly endanger your workers like that, asking them to build something that can barely hold its own weight. Because we know that the pyramids were not made entirely via slave labor, and that there were in fact a lot of skilled workers involved in it. And because of this, it seems sort of illogical. This pyramid seems... It's not a logical paradox, but it's getting a bit implausible. Let's say that. It's not very plausible. Maybe Apocalypse was the one that was smoking crack. Maybe that's what happened. But speaking of this, another thing about Apocalypse, let me look up. Apocalypse in the trailer said that he was known as a number of different names. I don't remember all of them, but I'm pretty sure one of them was Elohim, and it seems a bit off to me because I don't think the word Elohim was around 3600 BC for him to have been called Elohim. It just seems out of place because, well, from my historical continuity perspective, because it comes from the Semitic noun il or el, and it's an old word, but I don't think it's as old as the period in which Apocalypse was supposedly buried in the rubble of this pyramid at 3600 BC, which is before the dynasties of Egypt, if you look at chronology. Of course, there's different interpretations of chronology, so someone might say, oh, no, that's after, but before. And additionally, he said, well, maybe the four horsemen of the apocalypse were inspired by the four followers of Apocalypse. As in, they were saying, oh, he took it from the Bible, which would not make sense because that was not written until the time that he was buried in the ground. Then they said, well, since the Bible may have taken it from him, which also doesn't make sense for various reasons. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Anyway, a lot of their history is a bit off, but maybe it's a different world. It's a different world. East Germany may have been a bit looser on the Stasi. People in Eastern Europe may have spoken English a bit more. Maybe Hebrew is a very, 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 very ancient language. Perhaps St. John would have been aware of things from ancient Egypt and would have known about such things. Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. It's a very, very alternate history if all these things are true. And I suppose that's my point made. If you have something to add, if you want to ask any questions, if you want to dispute a point that I've made, if you want to inform me of something, if you want to contact me for some reason, please comment in the comments below, and I will answer, because at the point that I'm making these videos, there aren't really that many people watching my channel, so I am able to realistically respond to every comment. It might not be so in the future, but for today, that is what is. That is how it is. So, if you disagree with me, please comment. If you agree with me, comment. If you've got something to add, comment. If you like the video, please do like. If you hated the video for some reason, please, sure, dislike. I'm not saying I don't want you to dislike, but if you really, really feel like you have to, then dislike. And if you are going to dislike, please do leave a comment. Hopefully an intelligent, well-written comment, so that I know what I've done wrong, what I've done to upset you, and I will see if I can make it up to you somehow. And if you aren't subscribed to me, but you want to get more content, more stuff that I do, you want to be informed when I do things, you want to connect yourself to me, perhaps you're a fan, then subscribe. Yeah. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time on Wiltos over and out.